Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Talking Disney Magic, a show all about ranking and reviewing the biggest films in Disney and Pixar's catalog and talking about the biggest news in the House of Mouse. I'm Adam Bankhurst and I'm here with Vanessa. It's so exciting, and we're here because Vanessa came to visit and we had the chance to see Captain America: Brave New World.
Together! In person! Live! What a concept!
And I only fell asleep like twice. So.
Maybe 3 times. There were a couple of times where you were nodding off and I was like, oh boy.
But you know what? It's all good. What matters is we're here to give our instant reactions, to talk about it. But I think what's even more cool is we have Talking Disney Magic shirts.
We do! I'm so excited. This makes me so happy.
If you guys are watching the YouTube video, or we encourage you to check out our channel, because not only does it have the full episodes, but it has a bunch of my social media stuff where I do cooking Disney magic. I talk about a lot of fun stuff coming out, all my adventures at the Disney parks and things. But yeah, you can see our shirts. Right now they're not quite available, and we'll have to see how we can do it without Disney coming to kidnap our whole families. But maybe one day we'll find a way to have some merch, but it's pretty exciting.
It's pretty exciting for now, yeah. I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah, so before we get into it, Vanessa, how's it going?
I'm just so happy the kids are here together and they're just like loving life.
Yeah, oh my god, it's just the best when we get them all together and doing stuff. It was nice. We just had our Disney World trip. You can listen to that episode where we got a chance to spend a few days at Disney all together, and now the kids are here together again, so it's a lot of fun.
And on our way here, it was so funny. Henry was like, I just love Liam so much and I can't even stop. And I was just like, okay, I'm so glad.
I mean, what's better than that? What's better than that?
The only thing that was better than that was Charlie chasing Ella with his Valentine's Day bag, wanting to give her the Mickey Mouse Valentine. Like, it's for you, Ella, for Valentine's Day.
I think it's time we switch from Disney to like true life and kids and like exploit our kids for all this stuff. It's going to be good.
We were talking last night with, we had another friend that visited Sarah, and we were talking like your wife Betsy and we were like, we should get a podcast together to talk about all the work gossip, like the hot goss at work, anonymized, but like all the drama. Right. She was like, people would totally listen to that.
People love the drama.
People love the gossip. We all just got together and swapped war stories with work drama.
Oh my god, I love it so much. But
if you think that's a good idea, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Send an email to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com, and be part of the show that goes live every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, except these special episodes that pop up every once and again, so that's exciting. You can check the show notes below to jump right to a section. We're going to do some trailer talk, some instant reactions. We're going to rank and review. We're not going to rank and review this film because it's not, in the Disney and Pixar catalog, so we're just going to we want to be here when you see the movie, get some instant reactions from your favorite Disney crew, and then, I don't know, in the future, maybe we'll start our Marvel adventure.
Yeah, start our tier list for that. That'd be interesting.
So that'll be fun. But so before we jump into Captain America: Brave New World, we did want to kind of touch upon some trailer talk, because there were like 30 minutes of trailers. Again.
So many. Oh, I saw you just kept checking your watch.
I know. Like when is 30 minutes?
When are we going to be there? I was guessing it was funny.
Yeah, but there was some good ones. I think the one that kind of surprised me the most was the accountant. Yeah,
I know. We both looked at each other. We didn't know there was a first one.
I know.
But it looked good.
Yeah. So this had Ben Affleck and John Bernthal, and it's like he's an accountant, but maybe does he have like some social disorder? Maybe he has like something going on, so. And then his brother's like a very aggressive guy, and they go back and forth, and it was just kind of an interesting dynamic. And like obviously those two actors are great, but the funniest thing is when they announced the title, and it was like Accountant 2, and I was like, there was a first one. Totally.
You're both like, this looks really fun, and then we were like, wait a second, we're missing some critical parts of the story.
So that was funny, but that one looks pretty good. There's a lot of really kind of fun ones there were a lot of like those kind of movies. Like there was one called The Amateur with Rami Malek.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one looked really good. Yeah.
Where he's like some big tech guy in like a big CIA organization or something, and his wife gets killed, and then he goes out and uses all this knowledge he had from being a tech to go out and kill everybody and get revenge. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of good action-y movies, which I guess fit with Captain America.
Yeah, we were thinking you were gonna get the new Snow White. Did not get the new Snow White, because that's coming up quick too. Like
I know.
a month from now.
Next month, yeah.
So that was interesting.
But we did get How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh my god. That we're going to have to do a special bonus episode because that's like one of both of our favorite movies. We love that movie so much. I'm so excited about that.
Liam and I started watching the original the other day finally for our movie night, and he really liked it. But I will say it's definitely starting to show its age a little bit, like with the animation and stuff like that. But it's still, oh my god, it's just so good from the music and the
storyline.
Yeah, so I'm just excited. And like the live action looks good. I think the dragons look great. Toothless looks
amazing.
Like really awesome. I feel like
perfection.
The Hiccup character looks good and stuff. We'll see how everything comes together. That's like the problem with all these live action. They always like pick the scenes that like look great, but then everything around it kind of doesn't always feel right because you kind of know how these characters look and things. So we'll see how it turns out, but I'm excited.
Yeah, that's when I was just like, yes.
Definitely. Were there any other big ones that you enjoyed?
Those were the three that I really remember. Everything. Oh, the Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that was good.
That looked with Tom Cruise. That looked fun.
Always enjoyable.
It might be. Seemed like that might be the final one.
I think that's like
kind of the final,
quote unquote final one.
Yeah, we'll see.
Those movies have. I know the last one didn't do quite as well as the other ones, but they always make so much money, and obviously Tom Cruise always ones up himself and tries to do the craziest stunts. But
yeah, so that'll be good. But otherwise, I don't think there were any other ones that were standouts.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's we talk about this every time, but like so many of these trailers have been seen before and were part of the Super Bowl or were part of other things. Oh yeah, Jurassic World, Rebirth, which looks, I like being in that world. The new ones aren't like great or anything, but it's fun to be around dinosaurs, I guess.
The dinos.
Yeah, so we'll see. But there was some good stuff. But then we got to Captain America Brave New World, which is the newest entry in the MCU. And this movie had a lot of a little bumpy road getting to the finish line. There were a lot of reshoots, a lot of things changing. This was obviously like, we had the big road to King the Conqueror with Jonathan Majors, and that was going to be part of this whole big multiversal war that was coming. But obviously there were the allegations and charges against Jonathan Majors, so Marvel had to kind of switch everything and do all this stuff. And this is kind of one of the movies that is leading us to the next era, which is still kind of dealing with the multiverse, but now we're headed towards Secret Wars and doing stuff. And there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in Marvel talk. And this is kind of where I wanted to talk to Vanessa, because we had a chat before we watched this movie about like, she wanted to catch up because you haven't watched a Marvel film since like 2020, right?
Yeah, since Captain Marvel, because we had the AMC A-list. We were talking about this in the good old days before kids and before COVID,
right.
where we go to the movies 3 times a week.
Yeah,
we just loved going all the time. Every movie that came out, we saw everything because we were just like, we have 3 movies a week, might as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I haven't seen anything, and so it was interesting because part of the perspective is that, like, what are the barriers to entry? Can you watch this movie without having all the knowledge? And so it was funny with Adam's leading in with all this conversation around the multiverse and everything. It's all because I was asking the questions. Yeah. He's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is all because I had no idea what was going on or the controversy or anything that was happening with this. So as a casual Marvel viewer, it's going to be interesting to see how you felt differently than I felt, or if you felt the same way.
Because we thought it'd be fun to have like the different perspectives and do that kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun. So we kind of have different things going into it, and basically, like I said, the way we're going to do it, we're not going to go like story beat by beat. This is more instant reactions, talk about how we felt, where we think Marvel's going, what we're excited for, all that kind of stuff. But I thought we basically just start with, what did you think?
I thought it was good, not great.
Yeah.
Not like the best movie ever, there wasn't anything that like, it felt really serious in tone.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the movies, like the Guardians of the Galaxy are like a little bit more like funny or more like, the music and everything. And this just felt a little bit more like of a serious tone to it, which is fine. Not really any jokes.
Yeah, there were like a few, I feel like some cheesy ones between like Sam and the new Falcon and stuff. Like there were some things here and there, but there was like some funny stuff when they were all in like the gym with Isaiah Bradley and like doing stuff. That was a good scene and stuff. So
yeah, but overall I think it was just it was more serious, which is fine.
Yeah.
I stayed awake the whole time. Dig at you.
I know, as I've gotten older and we've had kids, and like I fall asleep when I sit down all the time, which is like I have like my new movie scale is like how did I fall asleep? That means if I fell asleep, maybe I didn't love it so much. If I was up the whole time, it's a great movie. The Adam sleep scale, as we like to call it. Oh my gosh.
Well, and it's also how many times did you fall asleep?
Right, exactly.
How much did you miss? It really then becomes, it's a snoozer versus.
Because I think that I'll kind of jump off that point because I mean, I love the depth and I love the big moments and the combat stuff, but like, it just felt like we had so many action scenes. Like, yeah, they had some cool parts in them, but it just felt like there was so much of it over and over again. Yeah, and then like, I mean, all in all, I thought it was a really fun, like, summer blockbuster movie. Like, a lot of big moments, and obviously seeing Red Hulk on this big thing. And
Harrison Ford was great.
Oh yeah, he was great. Yeah,
he was
definitely. Really good. Yeah, he was great. But yeah, it just felt like a run-of-the-mill Marvel movie, and I think that's my biggest problem with this. And I think part of it is also the marketing hype, and I don't think this would have like saved the movie. But, like, I expected something from this movie, and it kind of met it, like, perfectly in there. Because the trailers, like, showed all the big things. They showed Red Hulk, like, Harrison Ford turning Red Hulk. They showed, like, adamantium's coming to the MCU, which is a huge deal. They showed all these things. And I understand they have to, like, hype things up. But, like, can you imagine if those reveals happened in the movie? Everyone would be like, oh, my God, that's incredible. But, like, we knew a lot of these big beats were coming. And I feel like there really weren't any like surprises.
No.
I feel like the biggest surprise was like Bucky showing up and we were like, hey, Bucky's here.
Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, look at that, that's where he is. And the other surprise was like the Hulk, like they were talking about him, and that was like the biggest thing was I was like trying to place all the characters and like remember what had happened to people and like where things were at, and we were still trying to figure out like where's the Hulk?
Where's Bruce Banner?
Like I was like, they kept referencing Bruce Banner and I was like, okay, where is he?
I know.
Like, is he dead? Like, I could not figure out where he was. Because I was like, why don't you just... Because the President Ross or whatever, and he was having this part of one of the underlying things was his relationship with his daughter and how it has never recovered from, you know, him doing all the things he did with Bruce, which I couldn't even remember what he did. But I was like, why don't you just reunite him?
Yeah, right.
Like, you have power now. Like, I don't understand. Like, so then I'm like, well, maybe something bad happened to him. Yeah. I don't know.
So yeah, so it was funny. Like when we were driving home last night, I was like giving Vanessa like a beat by beat, like Thor's over here and Hulk's over here and the Guardians are over here and these people over here, and basically like we don't necessarily know where Bruce Banner is, but the last time we saw him, I think, was She-Hulk, and he actually has a son now named Scar. And, like, he was part of... But the biggest thing is, like, in Shang-Chi and the Seven Rings... You didn't see that one, did you?
No.
It was really enjoyable. I enjoyed that one.
Okay.
But at the post-credit scene, there was, like, a scene of Shang-Chi, like, talking to holograms of Bruce Banner, Captain Marvel, and Rocket. And they were basically... Because the Avengers aren't, like, around, basically. And they're all, like, not super formed. But they were kind of still watching everything that's happening. So, like, Bruce Banner should have his eye on all this stuff. And especially when a Hulk starts running around or things start happening, you think he'd be like, give a call to Bruce. And also, this movie... Like, so much is a sequel to the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
MCU film. Like, you know, we got to see the leader and, like, then we get those threads picked up of what happened with Abomination and how the city got destroyed with certain things and their adventures and stuff. And, like you said, it referenced him so much, but, like, why couldn't he have been in this? It's like, I don't know. Yeah,
why couldn't they have made the phone call or been like, hey, Bruce, like, that could have been the end credits scene. Because that was another thing. Like, the end credits scene, like, it's like, there's... Basically, like, they're fighting aliens. Like, it just felt like, what is this? Like, what is this setting up for? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, so for those who like haven't seen it or just kind of listening to this, so Captain America, like Sam Wilson, goes and visits the leader in the raft, which was kind of where a lot of the Avengers were locked up when actually Thaddeus Ross, when he was played by William Hurt during, I think, Civil War, one of the movies, they were locked up. It's like a big prison in the ocean. And he came and talked to him and said, like, I saw the probabilities. I saw everything. Like, you don't know what's coming. Like, the others are coming. And you're like, who are the others? But, like, we know this is happening. Like, you already, like, we know Secret War is coming. We know, like, big dangers are on the way. And, like, I feel like they just didn't, there wasn't enough of, like, a breadcrumb. It was more of, like, giving us like a menu to be like, yeah, we knew this is already here. Give us some food. Give us something.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I felt like it was a little bit, not predictable, but yeah, I felt like the action scenes were a little bit repetitive. And it felt like they were just filling that in to make the time.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like a transition movie, and we were talking about this. Sure. Like, this is kind of setting up and trying to tie off a lot of strings or tie off a lot of plot points, pull some things forward. And I don't know, like, it was fun, but if you don't, like, know the backstory, like, I feel like you had to, like, either have an Adam to, like, break it down for you afterwards. You're like, how does this actually fit in? Right. Or you do a lot of research. So, like, we were talking about this too, like, from a Marvel perspective, they've made it so that the barriers to entry into the universe are so high between the TV shows and the movies, and now everything's interconnected. And like you were talking about how Daredevil's now going to be part of the universe because it wasn't part of the universe before, but now it is. And so it becomes like all these things you have to watch every show and everything to know. Because you were talking about She-Hulk, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a TV show. And you were talking about another TV show. Which one were you talking about?
Well, there was
Shang-Chi was the movie.
Shang-Chi was a movie. Then there was a Captain America and Winter Soldier series that starred Bucky and Sam Wilson, and kind of gave you the story of him taking up the mantle of Captain America and doing stuff like that. Yeah,
so when you come in here and I'm like, okay, I know he's the new Captain America, but I can't remember how that transition happened. And if you didn't watch the show, like, you wouldn't know, like, all the setup and, like, know that they have this history. So becomes this whole, like, it's really becoming hard to get in, and then they're not producing as much high quality content, I feel like, as a way they're like filling things in. And so I almost wish that they would narrow the focus, and maybe that's what we were talking about. Maybe that's what the Fantastic Four and what Wolverine is going to be doing, is trying to, like, or X-Men, trying to narrow the focus, create a new thing where you can, like, potentially have some of that history, but, like, you don't need it for this new world. So, like, that would be an interesting play.
Yeah, because, like, that's what I'm, because, like, I had this feeling, like, we're always obviously super optimistic, and we want to love everything.
We do.
There's no secret there.
We literally were looking at each other, and Adam just kept going, please be good, please be good.
Every trailer, please be good. But, like, I was hoping for more, but I wasn't expecting more of this one. And I am expecting a lot from Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
That was the other trailer we saw.
Yeah, Thunderbolts. Right. So I think...
And Fantastic Four. Did we see Fantastic Four trailer?
Yep. So that's kind of where we can talk a little bit about that, because... So Fantastic Four, that's like, if you listen to we had a 2025 Look Ahead movie, and Fantastic Four is like the top of my list, because, and one of the things that I hope answers your question, they specifically chose the subtitle of First Steps. And I think this is super exciting for people like yourself, or people who are just like, I can't keep up with all this stuff, because Fantastic Four is like a retro futuristic, takes place in a different universe. So it's not, they don't start in our universe. Like, obviously they're going to come over to 616 and be with all of our characters and stuff. But the movie starts in, like, their own alternate, like, multiverse universe. And I think that's going to be kind of really the entry into the Fox properties with Fantastic Four and X-Men and Doctor Doom, and with Robert Downey Jr. and things like that, which is really, I feel like, going to be the next era with Marvel. So I have a lot of high hopes on that, and I really think that's going to be a big one. And I think it looks great. I love the style. I love the actors. I love kind of the look of everything.
Yeah, it looked very retro.
Yeah, I love that stuff, and I have really high hopes. So I hope that really kind of gives us a runway into the future of the MCU. And Thunderbolts, there was a lot of, like, when people heard about Thunderbolts, they were like, you're bringing back John Walker, who was from Captain America and Winter Soldier, and, like, people love Yelena, and obviously Winter Soldier, and, like, David Harbour's character, Red Guardian, and Taskmaster, and these other characters. And at first people are like, whatever. But every trailer I see, I get more and more hyped for this movie. Like, they're just such a fun cast of characters, and I think it's going to be a really fun movie. I'm excited.
Yeah, it seemed like it could be fun. I think it's just, like, I was watching it and I was like, I know some of these characters and I don't know some of these characters, right? Like, I'm like, well, it seems like they're all baddies kind of gone good.
Yeah, they're kind of like anti-heroes, and I think this is hopefully another good movie for you, because we don't really know these characters. Remember, we know Bucky, but, like, we haven't been with these characters for, like, years and years and years. So I think this is going to be kind of their time to, like, shine and show who they're going to be. Are they going to be a Dark Avengers? Are they going to, what is their role going to be in the future? So I think it's giving, like, a lot of, Guardians, or, like, fun vibes of, like, ensemble characters. So I'm excited for that one.
So I'm curious too, is Bucky a politician in this? Because he's a politician, and here he's running for office.
So that was another kind of surprising thing, because they never really hinted at that in the show that I remember. And so I was kind of like, wait, what is that? What are they trying to set up here? And it's like, he obviously was like a victim of brainwashing, and like I was on the run from the government, and like persona non grata, and like they had this whole big thing, and now he's running for politician, and it's like, hey, I mean it's not like
running for office. Was it future congressman? Was
something,
what they
yeah,
called
I think
him,
so, something like that.
Something like
so
that.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that is. That seems like a thread they pulled out of nowhere, but maybe, you know, if they're comics fans out there, if there's some link there, you'll have to let us know. But yeah, I was kind of like, oh, I would not have expected Bucky to be a politician. But, I mean, hey, he's traveled the world. He lived in Wakanda for a while. He has been through it all. So, hey, maybe he has a cool perspective.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was... But that's where I'm like, okay, so they set this up in this movie right before Thunderbolts came out. Like, is that thread pulled through? Or is
I
it
would
like...
hope so.
It would be really weird, like, and again, it feels like maybe that is the setup for like how Thunderbolts gets kicked off. Yeah. I was not certain how that was going to shake out.
Because that's what you talk about. This movie just really felt like, let's pick up all these threads, bring them back together, and then we can move forward. Where some of the pieces are. Because like we mentioned it before, like adamantium is a huge deal. Like that is a huge deal, because not only is that like, you know, what Wolverine's like skeleton and his claws are kind of made, and he got adamantium all over his body, which makes him into Wolverine. So that's really obviously saying, hey, Wolverine's coming, the X-Men are coming, get ready. Like adamantium is in play, which is super exciting. But also like we revisited the Celestials from Eternals. And that was like a huge thread where people were like, there's this giant celestial being in the middle of the ocean, and no one has talked about it for like 2 or 3 years. It's like, come on, people, what are you doing?
What is this?
Yeah, right. And that's and I, you know, there's a lot of hate for Eternals, but I really like that movie. I thought it was really fun. So if you ever are thinking of a Marvel movie, I would recommend it, because it's a fun one.
Well, if we're doing a tier list at some point, I'll be going in order and following the whole thing through.
Definitely. But that's like a really big deal, and that's obviously setting up things. And they did the Celestial, they did a lot of the stuff from the Incredible Hulk and getting the leader back in play. We'll see where he comes in the future. And obviously, Harrison Ford, his big thing was he was taking these pills, which he had the leader, or Samuel Stearns, kind of make for him, and then he was putting gamma radiation into him, and that's why he turned into the Red Hulk. But now he's at the raft, and now there's going to be a new president, but Harrison Ford might still be in play. So, there's a lot of possibilities.
They didn't talk about who the new president was. That was another thing where I was like, this feels like, I don't know if it was purposeful, or if it was just like, oh, we didn't realize it until after the fact, but it's not important. Like, I don't know. It was kind of this like question mark of like, is this important or not?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I think they might be setting up potentially. So like Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays a character named Fontaine, and she's kind of the head of the Thunderbolts. And you see in a trailer, she's speaking to Congress or in some court about like, hey, if the Avengers aren't here, who's going to protect us? And she kind of steps up and is in charge of like these guys and putting them together. So like maybe they're setting up, she's going to be president. She had her own show Veep, and now she'll be the president. So you never know. But that's what maybe I think they might be setting up for her to kind of be maybe be the next president in this part.
Yeah, because they didn't have a VP. Like they didn't show like who the VP was that would like be succeeding or whatever. So that was just interesting. But yeah, overall, I just think that it just felt very much like you had to know enough. There was enough of a storyline that you could follow it through without knowing anything. Right. And also, you were confused a lot about, like, people's importance, right? Like, that became, it's like, oh, that person showed up. And it's like, I don't know, are they new or not? Like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, you know? So that was the biggest thing was, like, I think if you don't have the context, you don't know who's important and who's not, and who's new and who's, you know, oh, that was a thread being tied off. You know, I didn't know. You couldn't know just watching,
of course. But I definitely was kind of feeling a little bit kind of the same way you were saying. I think it's a good movie to watch, especially if you just want to have a fun night at the movies and do stuff. But there's definitely a lot of like things that you wouldn't know if you didn't know. So it's kind of in a weird, like this movie's just in a weird place. It kind of is. But I do kind of want to touch on a couple things that I did really enjoy. Yeah. Like I said, I think Harrison Ford and the Red Hulk, it was a lot of fun. Like once again, I wish I didn't see everything in the trailers, but I thought that was, I mean, it was a fun fight, and I really enjoyed, like I said, we saw it a lot. So yeah, maybe it got a little repetitive, but I really did like Captain America's like fighting style in the suit, and like using the vibranium wings and like building up the energy and like flashing it all out and doing his like kicks and throwing the shield and doing all that stuff. So like I thought the action and like building upon what we know of Captain America into this new one was fun. I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they did a really good job with that. I think it was meant too many times potentially, or the scenes were too long. Like, it just felt like they were just like showing off at a certain point.
Yeah, definitely.
But I felt like the Hulk, the Red Hulk, I thought Harrison Ford did an excellent
job.
Yeah,
he really did.
And,
I really agree.
You know, they showed how he was like trying to, what I appreciated too is that part of this storyline almost felt like a redemption arc for this character.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about like historically, but they like a lot of this stuff was about, you know, this President Ross, before, when he was just the general, he was detrimental to all, you know, super powered people, and he was really not being, you know, a good human. Yeah. And so this was kind of like him trying to become a better... Together. Yeah, and like people were trying to be like, oh, it's disingenuous. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, but he actually is being genuine. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool.
We got to see those quiet moments, especially with his daughter, which was nice.
Yeah, and trying to like...
We like character depth.
We like depth, and we like redemption. I love a good redemption story, because not everybody's all bad, right? We... as we talk about all the time, you can make bad choices, but that doesn't make you a bad person.
Exactly.
And you can always choose to make better choices tomorrow.
Yes.
Or later today.
Yeah. Hey,
so the next choice is always your chance for redemption.
Right. Definitely.
So I thought that was cool, and like how they were originally trying to set him up to be the bad guy, and how he was able to like pivot away from being the bad guy, and like in the scene where they were like gonna have him Red Hulk, and he was able to pull himself back. I thought that was cool that they were showing depth. Right, and then he kind of, you know, got off the rails and it all went bad. But, you know, he was trying, right? And I think that I like that about it.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. We like the conflict. We like that kind of stuff. And, you know, speaking of conflict, that's like, I think one of the strongest parts of Captain America and Winter Soldier. I don't think the series was that great. I mean, I think there's good parts to it. But Carl Lumbly and Isaiah Bradley, I think he steals like every scene he's in.
Yeah.
He's such a great character, such a great actor, and such a great story. Because he's like, they titled him basically like the Forgotten Captain America. So like, do you know like much of his story or what happened? So basically, before Steve Rogers, they were, you know, doing the super serum and trying to build these super soldiers, and he was one of like the people that they were trying to make into Captain America, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And he was like imprisoned by the U.S. government for like 20 or 30 years, and had like brainwashed, and like they did all these experiments on him to see how they can like build him and do all this stuff. So he was like supposed to be this like Steve Rogers. He was supposed to be the face of everything, but like he was just never basically heard from again and kind of forgotten. So he was kind of brought back to help Sam become Captain America a little bit in Captain America and Winter Soldier. And then here, sadly, we saw like he obviously had reservations about the government, rightfully so, because he still was brainwashed by all this stuff happening and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought, like I said, that scene in the gym was great, and just Sam and his relationship is so great, and I thought he was such a great character.
Yeah, no, I thought that he really did steal the show. I thought that his personality in the suit, and just like he was just so sweet.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I just thought he really did steal the show. I agree.
And then lastly, I think before we can kind of rank it, like kind of give our rankings, so to speak, our instant reaction ranking, I just, like Giancarlo Esposito's character, I just felt like he was so forgettable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously you love him from Breaking Bad, Gus Fring, like he was one of the great villains and all that stuff. But once again, I just felt like he was, once again, the character you expect him to be. Like I said, maybe some cool moments and how he like did the grenades and did stuff, but it always felt like he was kind of on the back foot. Like he didn't know the whole story that was going on, didn't know Captain America was coming. He like, when he blew up the car and he immediately was like, we killed him. It's like, you didn't even check for the body, dude. What are you doing? There were like certain things where I was like, eh. And obviously he kind of helped move the plot along and kind of gave information, but I was like, yeah, nothing really to write home about too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. When you started talking about it, I was like, who are you even talking about? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I placed it now. Yeah. Forgettable.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I think, my main big thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, I think I'm just curious what letter, I guess, are we doing a number or letter grade?
Yeah, maybe we'll do a number for now, and then when we go into our ranking, like, you know, talking Marvel Magic or whatever we call it, we'll rewatch it when we're doing it and ranking and doing stuff like that. And yeah, I can start and just say, like I said, sadly, this is like what I have come to expect from Marvel. Like, I have such,
disappointing.
I know, it really is, because I've like had so much high hopes, like starting from Endgame Infinity War is better. Sorry. I know it's a minority opinions for some people, but I loved Infinity War. Endgame was great, blah, blah, blah. But when we got that tease of King the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors, and Loki, and like the next phase of the multiverse, I was so excited. Oh my God. I like one of the greatest villain episodes, surprise things ever. Loved it so much. And then I was so excited to see how it was going to evolve, and you know, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and all these other movies, and every like movie was just like not bad, but like, that's not what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. Why did you bring this up? What is going on? I like it, but it's not what I want it to be. Like, I want to get back to that golden age of Marvel. Yes. And yeah, it's just like, it hasn't been hitting, and sadly, this is kind of that movie again. That being said, it's still fun. It was still a fun movie. It was still enjoyable. There's fun pieces, and I know it's like sad that you have to wait all this time, and this is kind of like, it felt like kind of like a filler episode, putting the chess pieces in place. Yeah. Luckily, we don't have to wait very long for the next entry, because we're gonna have Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four by July, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So
Marvel have a year.
Yeah, definitely.
And Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil coming up and all this stuff. So yeah, it's sadly, this is kind of literally like right in the middle what I was expecting. So I'd give it a flat 7. Like, I think I kind of go between a 6 and a 7. I'm like going back and forth, like, but I think it wasn't like, I didn't think it was terrible. There were some moments I like, and like, I think one of the best parts is like, it helped me catch up on my sleep. So I think that was a plus. So.
Well, and to be fair, we were planning to go at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We had tickets.
Probably still would have fallen asleep, for being honest. But
we were going to go in the early afternoon, which also is my nap time.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yes.
But then we had, you know, kid stuff and travel stuff, and so then it became a 9 p.m. show, which is why this episode is so delayed.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, I was going between a 6.5 and a 7. Yeah. We're in the same boat. Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's not rotten.
No. Yeah, like some good performances, good moments, like fun. It just didn't really push anything forward, and it was, like I said, once again, bigger problem with the hype cycle. Like, I think if we would have got some of those pops with Red Hulk or with Adamantium, like those moments are kind of what you really look for in these movies, and it was just like, and even like the leader, like we didn't really talk about him that much. Like I like his delivery and like the concept, and I'm like, first of all, if you knew about this like big threat coming, and like you're just so focused on Thunderbolt Ross, and I know he did you wrong and all that stuff, but I just didn't really buy into it as much. So it was kind of a right in the middle. Like, it was good. It was fine. It was fine.
That was fine. And I think you're right. We were talking about this a little bit on the ride home last night, you know, where it's a February movie, which is always like the lower,
right,
with the exception of Black Panther.
Yeah, true.
We had a Black Panther movie, you know, and I saw Black Panther. That movie, spectacular. Spectacular.
Movie. Yes.
But I think they need to hype it up so people get excited enough to go and see it.
Exactly. 100%.
So I can understand why, but like from a strategy perspective, it seems like there's an opportunity to make people more excited to see it. Like, the hype cycle is like, oh, you go see it and you realize there's all these cool things in it, and then people are driven to see it.
Right.
So I don't know if it was like they're trying to drive opening weekend numbers, or like, I don't know. I think there's an opportunity to kind of have a little bit more of a secret. And I feel like that kind of, the art of the secret, like, and the big reveals is kind of lost.
It's, definitely.
Like
you get surprised every once in a while, but overall 100% agree, and it's sad.
Yeah. Well, and like,
especially like today's culture, like especially in the video game world, like leak culture, and like people just do everything they can to leak everything and set visits, and I'm like, can we just leave a little to surprise? Like, and it was like, oh, you're playing into the market, or you're playing into... I'm like, I don't care. I want to be surprised. Like, I like going to these movies and like being like, what?
Yeah, like Infinity War was like that. At the end of Infinity War, everybody was like, what?
And like we knew that they were going to come back, but that's not the point. You were like, oh my God, they did it.
They really did it.
Yeah, and like after you're like, okay, they're coming back, but that feeling you get, it's like,
it was like, oh
priceless.
My God, yeah, really though. There's so many things, and like I compare this to, I don't, if anybody's a Fourth Wing person out there, that's my new book series.
I need to get into that.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. It actually is the fastest, like the best selling book since Harry Potter. Like 2.5
wow.
or 20 million copies in the first week or something. Like, it was crazy numbers.
And the fourth one just came out, right?
The third one.
The third one, okay.
But every book ends on a cliffhanger. And even the people that are like doing the podcasts and like talking about it all the time, and they have all these bets and things, like even they were like surprised. And Rebecca Yarros, like was on a TV show. She's like, I gleefully write to the cliffhanger. She's like, I know what I'm gonna end on, and I gleefully write towards it, and I'm not giving anybody shit, right? Like, and I miss that. Like, and so you're reading it, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and like everything is a surprise, and nothing goes the way that you expect it to, and that is what makes it so fun.
Exactly.
Because then you can speculate, and then that like has the podcast.
Exactly.
Like, that's why you go and you watch and you listen and you get excited, and it builds this fan base. Honestly, I would say that if the second part of the Marvel Universe was what started it, I don't think that we would have what we have, because it's just not the same. Like, there was this magic and this chemistry and this, like, beautiful way that they built this fandom, and I think that they've kind of done them dirty.
I'm so thankful we lived through that time.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're done dirty right now, right?
Definitely.
Like, and it's in this period of where they're trying to, it's almost like they're the teenagers trying to figure out who they are, you know?
Definitely.
Or, like, midlife or quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
Like, they had this heyday, and now they're like,
now what do we do?
Now who are we? Like, we peaked too early. We peaked too soon.
Yep, definitely. But once again, we're ever the optimists.
Yes.
I am actually very hopeful for the rest of this year, though. Like, I knew this, like, I had a feeling this was going to be kind of, but like we said, I think
rough one.
Daredevil, I think there's so much love for, like, that character and that series, especially yourself. Mm-hmm. And once again, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. If they knocked that out of the park, I mean, it'd be cool to get our Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom tease, which I think they might have something. But even if that's just like, that's the era we've been waiting for, the X-Men, the Fox. Like, that's, I think, what's going to bring in the juice again. So I'm excited for the future. And, once again, this movie, for all intents and purposes, it put pieces in place, and hopefully they'll continue pulling on those threads and not just throw them away. Like, why is Bucky a politician? You better find out, Thunderbolts, because I'm going to be like, what was the point of that?
Yeah, literally, what was the point of that? If all of a sudden the movie, literally the next movie in the series just totally craps all over that and like pretends it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Like, come on, people, talk to each other.
You can do it. You can do it. So I think that's our show, Vanessa. I think that's our instant reaction and stuff, and it'll be fun. Maybe in a couple of years we'll revisit this and see, did it actually lead in the right places? Did we watch it again and maybe we see things we liked, or maybe we don't like it as even less than we did? We'll see what happens, but that is the fun of Talking Disney Magic, and we are so excited to come to you every week to talk about the biggest movies in Disney's catalog. And next week we're jumping back into the Disney vault to talk about the Three Caballeros.
I know, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we loved Saludos Amigos. Once again, that was a surprise. We obviously didn't know much because we haven't read back to it, but like that gave me that feeling of like, oh, I was not expecting this.
That's totally unexpected. A lot of these, I'm like, I was going into this forgotten era, like C's get degrees, man. Like I was just like ready to rock and roll with the C category, and I've been pleasantly surprised.
Really?
By quite a few of them.
Definitely. So definitely recommend you check out Saludos Amigos, and then join us for Three Caballeros, the kind of sequel to the movie, and see why it's so popular and it got its own ride. And you said it got some Academy Award.
Nominations.
Nominations.
Yeah, it had 2 nominations, and he said it was the first feature-length film of like animation and live-action blend to get nominated for Academy Awards.
Good stuff.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that episode will go live next Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to be a part of the show, send an email to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, it's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your Captain America thoughts. Did you agree with us? Did you like it more? Did you like it less? Let us know. Talk about Three Caballeros. Send in any other movies on our list, or even ones we haven't gotten to. We'll give you our little thoughts about films, because we had a funny message from Josie where she loved Treasure Planet, but that's literally the last movie in the film.
Bottom of the barrel. Not in a bad way, just in like it's gonna be a long way.
Exactly. But we will get there. We
We promise.
So definitely be a part of it. Once again, check our show notes below. You can see our timestamps. You can check our current rankings of all our films. You can check out our schedule to see when your favorite movies are coming up. You could also get an invite to our Discord and all that wonderful stuff. But really, we want to thank you so much for joining us once again for this bonus episode of Talking Disney Magic, and we got together. So exciting. It's so fun to like do this in person finally instead of looking through a screen, and hopefully we'll get to do it again soon. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. Vanessa, thank you for sharing this with me. It was so wonderful. Fun. And we hope you have a great day and or night and a magical week. And we will see you for the Three Caballeros. Bye, everybody.